Fresh off an exciting outing and a breakout in a spring breakout game, Parker Messick joins Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into today's episode of Locked On Guardians. Thanks for spending a half hour of your day with us. So we cover the Cleveland Guardians 5 days a week, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And as promised on today's show, Parker Messick of the Guardians joins us. Parker, you're blowing up a little bit, so this is a great time to come on and talk about what you're working on and the spring breakout. All excited for that. Before we get too deep into today's show, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets, and your first $5 bet wins. I'm Justin Latta. You know where I'm from. I'm here next year at cleveland.substack.com, News Herald, Morning Journal, Prospects Live. Jeff, you want to do your quick intro so we can get Parker on and let people really hear what they want to hear today?
Yeah. I used to write at Scout 24/7 on prospects and the draft. And, when Locked On expanded to baseball, they decided to give me a call first. I still don't know why, but I'm thankful for it.
I'm thankful for that too, Jeff. And Parker, we're thankful you're here with us. We appreciate it. I know you were saying off air that you guys are ready to hit the ground running for the regular season. It's coming close, but I know you guys are ready to kick off things this year and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely ready to go. But thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's talk about spring breakout because I don't know how much you're paying attention to headlines or Twitter or anything like that. I know social media is bad and both good and all these things, but man, people are talking about you a lot right now, and I think a lot of it also is coming off the spring breakout game. So can you just talk about like what that experience was like for you and your teammates and what that game's been like, and also your great performance in that game?
Yeah, it's something really cool that the MLB has put on. All the guys love playing in it. It's actually like that early bit of competition. I know we were talking about before we started the podcast, but just that feeling of competing again that has some kind of meaning, before the season gets going. And I was honored to get the start for Cleveland, and it was something that I wanted to work up towards in spring training. And when they told me that I was able to start it, I was pumped. I got that adrenaline going, as you can see by the way that I was, my emotions on the mound. But it was a really good time with all the guys on the team. It's a lot of the younger guys, so it's the guys that you don't really get to have those big moments and those big games, and then we all get to play in one big game all together on the field. It's a lot of fun. We all try to make a good time out of it, but ultimately, you want to win. So, we try to put together a really good lineup, and we just had a good time. We ended up winning it.
See, we talked about the preview for that game. I said, this is not your ordinary exhibition. It's not. You guys took it seriously. You wanted to play well. You wanted to win. Like you said, that's your shot to put some adrenaline into the game and really, I hate the term showcase, but I think it's, a showcase for what you guys can do and, building your stock a little bit. Yeah,
no doubt. It is a showcase, but like you want to win no matter what. If you're playing on the field, you want to win. So that was the goal.
Were there any of your teammates that was like your first exposure to in that game, or did you, at least through some of spring training, got in some opportunities to play and get to know everyone?
There may have been a couple guys, maybe one or two that I hadn't played with or against yet, but most of the guys, I throw in spring training, I throw against everyone from the big leaguers all the way down to the guys that come over from the DSL. So you get a good mixture of guys that you're throwing against or playing with or working with. So it's pretty cool to actually play with everyone on the same team for a game.
Before the game, they had the ring ceremony for the Captain's Championship. I know you weren't there at the end of the year, but you were there at the beginning of the year. So you got your ring. Is it locked away somewhere safe?
I do have it. It's actually sitting right here on my desk in the box, flipped open. So it's pretty cool to see. That was a good time. I wish I would have been able to be on the field for the ceremony, but I was warming up at the time. But they had it waiting on me in the dugout when I got done. So it was pretty cool to see and show my family after the game.
Yeah, man, what a day. You got your ring. You were warming up, but you got your ring. You pitched well. It was a game you're excited for. That's as good as it's got to get in spring training in terms of, outside of, whoever you're impressing out there. But that's got to be as good as it gets in spring training.
No doubt. I was living for that game. That one moment of the couple months that I'm out here, until we break for season. That was the most fun day I've had this spring training by far.
I think for people who hadn't seen you in a bit, or maybe, weren't as familiar over the past year. I think your velocity was one of the things that kind of caught some by surprise. Yeah, I remember watching you at Florida State, and the secondary stuff was always solid. More than solid. So it's an understatement. That's not a fair statement by me.
Thank you.
But eventually we'll ask you about that. Your changeup, I know, is a really strong pitch. But like, the Guardians are kind of known for this, helping pitchers find more velocity.
Mhm.
Do you feel like, is there, I know you can't give away the trade secrets, of course, but like, is it something that's like a gradual, like what can you tell us about that process of finding more?
Yeah, I don't think there's any, secret sauce for everyone to just start throwing hard. I think there's a different plan for each pitcher, and Cleveland does a good job of adjusting to the type of pitcher that you are and working with you on what you need to do to throw harder. I also spend my off seasons at the Florida Baseball Armory down in Florida. I've been going there since I was in the 8th grade, so I attribute a lot of my development also with the Guardians paired with the Armory to them as well. So just the combination of what I do at the Armory and then what I'm able to bring to Cleveland. And Cleveland's been very receptive because, they're one of the best organizations at developing guys like me, making me throw harder, more strikes, better off speed, all of the above. So they take all that information that I bring in and they add it to actually what they do. And they know that I like it. So they allow me to use it to help myself. And, they just assist me. Anything I need, they help. Any drill, any, rest, arm care, anything. They just assist me in helping me, throw harder. And that velo jump has kind of just been a gradual thing, like through like probably 89 to 92, touching some 3s and 4s in college, and then low A kind of very similar, high A just a little tick harder, an average mile an hour. And then last year, I saw a much bigger jump in my velo as far as my average, and then really wanted to attack it this spring training because that's one of the ways that you can really separate yourself in spring training from a lot of all of your buddies that you're best friends with. We're all still competing for jobs, and we all root for each other. We want each other to do better, so we all chip in and try and help each other. But velo is like one of the biggest separators that you can. It's the easiest thing to see from pitchers. So that was something that I wanted to attack this off season, and it came. I just worked on cleaner, more fluid delivery. It doesn't really change. It's all the things are so minuscule that it's really hard to see, but there's definitely little changes in the delivery, that attribute to the added velocity. But I would say it's much more of like a slower growing process than it is, one thing where I was like, oh yeah, I changed this. I started throwing harder.
That's why you need those high-speed cameras, right? Because you're like it's so minuscule to see, but there's so much goes into it, and
no doubt
something you don't notice out those cameras. That fastball you pumped by Cole Emerson, man, like that was a good. You were fired up about that. I wanted to go back to that too. I think that's awesome. Like you were pumped up about that. You threw the ball well, got by a guy who's an excellent prospect. By the way, I don't know how familiar you are with Cole Emerson, but he's a fantastic prospect. He's also from the state of Ohio. That was a great at bat. But I love that. Like I remember when Doug Nikhazy was in college. And I think people used to call him Doug Crazy. I don't know if you guys still call him that anymore, but he was a fiery guy in college. And I feel like he's toned that down a little bit, which is fine. Yeah. But I got to be honest. I love watching baseball, and I love the emotion like that. Like I love seeing you guys get pumped up, and I think that adds to the game. So like, I know for you, that's all organic. That's who you are. But I don't know. I really like that side of the game. And I would love to see more guys let that out of their personality that, it's okay. You struck a guy out who's really good, or, if you get a home run hit off you, that guy hit a home run off a really good pitcher. That's okay too, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think I said this before. When I show emotion, it's all organic, like you said. Like it's my emotions, and it's actually something that people don't see. When I execute a high and away heater to a lefty after I just tunneled 2 sliders down and away and got some swing and miss, and then I blow that heater by him in the exact spot, that fist bump is more of like months and months of prepping, and like I know that I set that guy up to make him miss that pitch, and it took a very long time, to kind of get, like, I don't want to say master, because no pitcher is ever a master at the craft, but like to get a certain sequence down or execute 3 straight pitches to get a strikeout. So a lot of that emotion is more like in a split second, I realized that everything I just worked on for 3 months just paid off in the biggest moment that I've had in spring training. So that's what a lot of that emotion is that people don't see. Some of it's just pure game. You want to win. It's your competitive nature, but that's a lot of what goes through my mind. Like when I do something that I know that I've been working on and it works out, that's me like pounding my glove as I'm walking off the mound, just because I know that, man, I worked on that. There's been a million people that have helped me work on that, and I just did it on the biggest stage. So that's some of the cool things that a lot of people don't know, that the players that do show emotion, whether it's their personality or not, that's kind of what's running through their head.
I feel like everybody can relate to that too, no matter what you're doing. Like when you succeed at what you're doing and you've been working on something, like you want to get excited about it, and people might get upset, like, oh, you're showing that guy up, but it has nothing to do with the player you're facing. It has everything to do, like you just said, what you're working on. Like everyone can relate to that, no matter what they do in life.
Yeah, no doubt. And you'll never see me like show up another player. Everything I do is at myself, like yelling into my glove, or, like, I don't know, like pounding my glove, or like a slight little like flex, I guess you could call it. Like all of that, it's none of it's planned. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's just a natural reaction, and it's never at the hitter. It's all just pumping myself up.
Well, we are going to talk about one of those hitters you did face in college, who now happens to be your teammate. I know everybody wants to hear a story about that, so we're going to get to that on the other side here of Locked On Guardians. All right, you already know what time it is. It is time for March Madness. It's here. The games are going on. Hopefully your bracket's still intact. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. If you are a new customer, you can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on buzzer beaters, Cinderella stories, who's cutting down the nets. Go in there. If you're a new customer, put $5 down on a 1 versus 16. If you still have time, that's still a sure bet. I know it's happened before, but it's still a pretty good bet if you're a first-time customer to try and get that extra $200 in bonus bets. Simple to use. When you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. So enjoy yourself during the tournament. Be responsible and visit FanDuel.com and get in on college hoops action all tournament long. And of course, we know we also have game time going on right now. There's nothing going better than watching an MLB game live. Maybe you saw the spring breakout game and you enjoyed that. Maybe you want to see more of Parker Messick pitching in Columbus this year at some point. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the ballpark food. If you're looking to go last minute to any of those games, you want to wait and see when Parker's pitching. Game time makes it easier than ever. Last minute deals, all in pricing, lowest price guarantee. We know prices drop as the game gets closer. You can do all that stuff. It is the official ticketing partner of Locked On Guardians and Locked On, so you can count on them to help grab tickets that meet your needs when you want to hit that game. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Appreciate you all tuning in to today's podcast, and definitely thank Parker for taking time out of his time in the day in spring training and joining us over here. All right, got to ask, the guy who's now your teammate in Cleveland is Chase DeLauter, who at the time you faced him was getting a lot of hype about being the number 1 overall pick. Didn't turn out that way, but you guys are now teammates. But you did have the upper edge on him in college. You struck him out a couple times. I think you guys as a team had a lot of success against him, but what was that like? And you guys ever just kind of to joke about it these days?
Yeah, we joke about it a lot. We were actually roommates when we first moved out here, so that was pretty funny. We got to joke with each other a lot, and we've actually never faced each other since. I think we were going to earlier this spring training, but the schedules got moved around and it just ended up working out. But I think that game was a lot bigger for me than it was for him. Not to say that him going into Florida State opening weekend as the number 1 pick wasn't a big deal, but as a guy I've always considered myself like, kind of that little bit underrated, like kind of pitch with a chip on my shoulder, kind of the underdog. I definitely have gotten recognition in college and even leading up to now. But I've just always, even if I do get all the tweets in the world and all the love from all the fans, I still want to pitch with a chip on my shoulder and act like nobody really likes me and thinks that hitter should take me deep. So that was my mentality going into that game. And Chase, in his defense, we always talk about it, and he's like, man, I haven't faced a lefty all preseason because they had a lot of righties at JMU that year. So he ended up having to come in and face, 3 lefties at Florida State. But, I'm facing the number 1 prospect as a guy who's trying to, be a first, second rounder that year. And I show up to the stadium and there's 50, 60 scouts staring, trying to see what Chase does that weekend. It was definitely, a big deal for me to have a good game. And fortunately for me, it ended up going well for me. But I mean, I'm completely comfortable saying that Chase DeLauter is the best hitter that I've ever seen on the field. So, luckily for me, it went well that time. But who's to say that if we ever face each other again, that it won't go my way? But it's fun to be able to joke with each other. But I got the best of them for now. We'll see what happens later.
Luckily, you guys won't face each other in a game that counts. Hopefully,
No doubt.
Be
No doubt
right field behind you one day.
Just all bragging rights at that point.
Now, he's not the only player I assume, have a lot of familiarity with. The Guardians like Florida State. They went back and drafted another pitcher last year in Connor Whitaker. Is he? I assume bullpen's being close. He's just a year after you. That's someone. Is it exciting when someone like that happens? When you hear that you got someone else coming that you're, like I said, I assume
Yeah, no doubt. I texted Seaway. I only know him as Seaway because that's what we called him in college. But I texted him as soon as he got drafted, like, congrats on being a Guardian. Can't wait to see you out in Arizona. Let me know, like, if you need any information. Open line if you need anything. Because he was one of the guys I really clung to in college. He was one of the younger guys I liked a lot. You'll get to know him some days, and he's an awesome pitcher. He's an even better kid. He's a good dude. I'll consider him one of my friends for as long as I play baseball. He's awesome. So it's really cool for a guy that, you've gotten to know for a while to be able to continue to play in pro ball with you. Even down to, Mobley being from my hometown. He was actually committed to Florida State too. I went on an alumni day and he was on his official visit with him and his family. So getting guys like that I know well from my hometown, from Florida State, we're all Guardians now. It's really cool to kind of represent our areas and where we're from and be able to just continuing to compete at the highest level.
You said something there that stood out because Justin and I talk about it a lot. It feels like very specifically over the last 5 years, this team, when it comes to the draft, is really focusing like on 70 and 80 grade character, like that, like up and down, that this team, like when you talk first about like kind of character there, that just stood out because we've seen them just go so heavy in that direction of like trying to find people, A, who love baseball, and B, are just like the, very, very good people.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Cleveland does a great job of picking, great players and even better people. And a lot of these guys, they're going to be in my wedding one day. I'm in their wedding, some of them this offseason. So they just create a good environment to where they're all good people. So you can connect with them really well. It makes you enjoy going to the field every day, to where, when you have a good clubhouse environment, you'll hear our big league talk about it. I know Hedgie talks about it a lot, and that's something that they try and push all the way down through the minor leagues. And when I think I had the most fun playing baseball I ever had when I was in Lake County at the beginning of this year, like we did everything together. We would have 15-man scramble golf tournaments on our off day. We were going to dinner together. Like we would have to reserve a whole side of the restaurant just to get, our whole team in there for dinner. So when you create an environment like that, not only does it prove to win, you're just having more fun. And when you're having more fun, you're going to win games anyway. So the better people you can get in your clubhouse, the better you're going to play.
Yeah, that group in Lake County all year, first half and second half, did seem very, very tight-knit, I will say, no matter who was on and off the roster, moving up and down the system. So I can definitely attest to that from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that. Going back to the thing you were talking about too, about just Florida State and working with some of those guys. When you were pitching against Chase in college, you were talking about how that really benefited you because you had a great weekend. How much had you heard from the Guardians at that point? Because obviously the Guardians were following Chase. We know obviously because they picked him. But you said you had a chance to perform in front of a lot of scouts. I'm assuming the Guardians were probably at that game, so maybe that helped you out a little bit. But had you already kind of had a relationship with them up to that point?
Yeah, I think I had my winter meeting with them. I know, like, it's kind of a couple of years now. It's starting to get a little fuzzy. Right. But those winter meetings, you kind of meet. I think there were 5 or 6 teams that I didn't meet with during that winter time. And then they kind of leave you alone during season just because that they want you to focus on your season. They don't want you to focus on the draft. So I don't know like how I don't think anybody really reached out, but I know, after the season, the Guardians reached out a couple of times, which normally you get your one postseason big, long, hour-long Zoom call with 7 people on the screen and kind of getting drilled questions and stuff. But, the Guardians reached out multiple times and then multiple times at the combine, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe it was once at the combine. But, they did a great job of reaching out, reaching back out, checking back in. So it was pretty cool to hear from them a bunch.
All right, we want to talk. I think people want to know about your pitch mix a little bit. We want to talk about kind of your family and baseball background. Love to ask guys about their favorite players, who they want to face, all that kind of stuff. So I think all that we will touch on here on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Back here on Locked On Guardians. Thanks for tuning in to our interview today with Parker Messick. If you like this interview and you like talking Guardians 5 days a week with us, make sure you hit the bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode, you never miss a video, and make sure you're downloading on audio too so we come to your feed every day. That'll be important once the season starts because once we start rolling, we'll be on here every day and something to talk about every day from the majors to the minors. Today it's Parker Messick who was kind enough to take time out of his day to join us. So Parker, the changeup, I think we all know is kind of your money pitch. You just want to talk about the grip on that, and if you're willing to talk about the grip on that and where you learned it and how you've developed it and what makes it such a good pitch for you.
Yeah, I can't say there was ever a time where anyone taught me the grip. I think it was one of those things as a young kid, like freshman in high school, maybe even in 7th, 8th grade, where I was like, you know what, this feels right. Let me try it. And it just kept throwing it and kept throwing. I was like, wow, this works. I'm going to keep throwing it. So it was more of just like slightly adapting the grip over time. It's pretty weird. I don't know anyone else that really throws it like that. And when I tell people, when people ask me, I happily show them, and they try and throw it, and sometimes it looks good, and sometimes it doesn't. It just there's a lot to do with a pitch grip and pitches in general. There's a million different ways to throw every pitch, and I think it's a lot more with your conviction and how you throw it, your delivery. Some guys are better off throwing a splitter than a circle change. I throw a bit of a circle change with I'm not going to say a split grip, but the circle's separated from where my fingers lie on the laces. So I wish I had a baseball around to show what it looks like, but because awesome. It's really hard to explain. But yeah, I've done the same grip and since freshman year of high school, and I've just been comfortable with it. And I throw it with conviction because I know I can throw it in the zone. And I know how it's going to move. So, I just tell everyone, I'm like, just grip it and rip it. Just throw it in the zone and let it fall off. And that's how I've always thrown it.
Why change if it's working? Yeah, absolutely. It looks like your best pitch. Okay, so you talked about in the off season, you were working on velo and other stuff a little bit. What other things? How do you feel like where you're at with the rest of the arsenal? It's fastball, change up, slider, curve, right? And what are some of your goals for this season coming up?
Yeah, I just want to build off what I did last year. We got a little bit more velo going into spring training, so that was really exciting to see. It helps the fastball play. More of my development this year is more based on filling up the zone. I don't walk a ton of people in general, or I haven't at least the last 2 years or even in college, but I want to walk even less people. My goals in college were to have more starts than walks. And obviously in pro ball, that's way harder than it sounds. It's easy to make that goal. It's really hard to do. But just filling up the zone, putting the hitters, in a defensive mode where they know I'm coming in the zone. So they have to hit one of the first couple pitches. It gets me in better counts and it lets me use my strikeout stuff to be able to get guys out. And, the curveball and the slider have really come along. I have, last year I was able to showcase it. It was a completely new pitch from my first year of pro ball, and it completely turned around my numbers against lefties. It's more of a power slider. I still get a good cut on it, but it's in that 85 to 88 range instead of the 80 to 82 range. And then the curveball, it's been the pitch that I'm still developing. I've thrown some really good ones this spring training, and I used it last year a lot against righties just to get ahead. And I ended up getting more swing and miss than I thought I would with it. So I've just been trying to really hone in on those pitches, more of like where in the zone I need to throw it versus trying to change a grip or change, where I need to throw it. Just pick the right count, trust it, throw it in the zone, and, get to where I'm ahead and I can, really start to pick hitters apart.
How about some of your favorite? Oh, Jeff, you got something?
I was going to go with that question, so it's okay. We always like to ask, favorite players growing up, favorite team, that type of stuff. So the fan base, it's nice to get to know players beyond just like seeing you on the mound.
Yeah, no doubt. I know Cleveland fans may not love this, but I was raised right around Tampa Bay, so I was Bucks, Lightning, Rays, everything. I've started to like the Browns a little more.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do
it. Still a diehard Bucks fan at heart, but I'm trying to get into the Cavs and the Browns and stuff. It's just fun to cheer for the team. That when you're a part of that city, you kind of have to adapt those teams, even though you may have your hometown teams that are your true fan base. But
it's gonna be fun to be a Lightning fan. Like that's just one of the best run organizations in sport.
That 2020 when we were Tampa Bay, it was the most fun that you could ever have. Lightning win, Bucks win, and then the Rays lost in the World Series to the Dodgers that year. But it was so much fun. I love going to the Lightning games and the Bucks games. I don't really go to too many Rays games because they're over in St. Pete. It's a long drive from Planet City, but yeah, it's awesome to go to the Lightning and the Bucks games.
Well, we had the Cavs in 2016. They're on a good path this year.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, the Guardians will follow here in the next
this
year. Next couple of years. Love to have that. Curious, so you watch baseball growing up, because I feel like some of the guys I talked to over the years, they're like, yeah, I like playing baseball, but I don't like watching it. So you watch baseball growing up. You like baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the guys you like watching? And I'm always curious. I don't know if I asked you this in Lake County last year. I've asked some guys this, but like, let's imagine you're making your major league debut. Who's the guy you don't want to face, or maybe who's the guy you want to face because you're a guy who likes to pitch with a chip on your shoulder. So maybe who's the guy you're like, I do want to face this guy even though he's a really tough hitter.
Yeah, I've always whenever that time comes, I've always dreamed of facing a team like the Yankees or the Dodgers, the teams that are winning the World Series or in the World Series. Like if I could debut, or the Phillies with a Harper, like if I could debut and have the opportunity to be able to face an Aaron Judge or a Bryce Harper or an Ohtani or Freddie Freeman, any of those guys where it's just like I'm playing against these guys that I've dreamed of playing with against. Like I've only ever played with them on MLB The Show, much less I'm on the same field as them competing to win for my team. That's one of the things that I live for. I can't say that I'd be scared. I definitely would respect the heck out of all the hitters that are in that lineup and realize how good they actually are. They're the best at what they do. But like you said, I'm not a guy that's going to be scared. I'm going to go in there and give them my best stuff, and hopefully it's better than theirs that day. But yeah, I definitely would dream of facing some guys like that. But as far as my favorite player growing up, like I said, I was a Rays fan. I played a lot of sports too growing up, so I was always a huge Tim Tebow fan. I know that's not what my Florida State fans want to hear, but I'm big in my faith, so I always idolized everything that he did. The man he was on and off the field, and he ended up trying to play baseball after his football career, so that was pretty fun for me. I've read all of his books and do all of his devotionals. I love everything that he's done even after his playing career, and I strive to be that kind of guy while I'm playing and moving on to when I'm done playing the game. But pitcher wise, I always loved David Price when he was on the Rays, that 2008, 2009, 2010 era. That was kind of when I started, my love for baseball really started to grow. And he was, one of the aces on the Rays, and I think he was like the only lefty that year. So it was just fun, really fun for me to watch him pitch. My dad would always be like, hey, watch, you never know, you could be in that same spot. Watch what he does. As a 9-year-old, I don't know how much I actually got from watching him, but I definitely remember watching every single start that I could of his.
I got to ask, since you mentioned Tebow in Florida, what what drove you to Florida State? Like Florida State's become a monster for production the past few years, like high picks every year, but Florida also has a lot of high picks every year. Is there a specific thing that got you to FSU?
Yeah, that's a pretty long story. I grew up a Gator fan. There was just a lot that happened where, I didn't get the opportunity from Florida. They didn't like me at the time.
Their mistake.
Florida State did, and I went to Florida State and fell in love with the campus, and it was hard for my family. One of my best friends growing up lives right down the street from me. His mom and dad both went to Florida State. They had Florida State gear, so we actually, on my way to my Florida State visit, drove to their house, took some of their shirts and hats, and wore it up there because I had all Florida stuff because I was a Florida fan growing up. So we took their stuff, and I got there, and I fell in love, man. I fell in love with the campus. It's beautiful, the field, the people, just everything about Garnet and Gold. I bleed it now, and I'm a Knoll for life. I love that place.
Yeah, you and Bryce made quite the tandem during your time there.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, that was a good group, and last year, James Tibbs last year, they've really rolled out a lot of good players recently, so a lot of respect over there. I feel like you were destined to be on the Guardians either way, though, because the Guardians took Leftwich and Mace and Alamon, so it's either you'd have been a Guardian whether you were a Gator or a Seminole.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. Real quickly before we get you out of here, you said you guys golf a lot. Curious to see how much you've golfed in Cleveland, because I'm not a golfer. Specifically, I try. I'm very bad. My father-in-law is a big golfer, and he actually works at a golf course out here. And I know he talks up the golf courses around Ohio. You like the courses out here? What have you found? And I'm curious to see what your favorite course is out in Ohio so far.
The one that we played a lot in Lake County was Little Mountain. It was, we always try and play one that we can get a deal at or whatever. They know we play for a team. It's on our off day. They give us a good discount so we can get out there and play, in the times that we have, maybe block off some D time. So that's like one of the only ones I played that I can remember the name of. There's a par 3 course right outside of Cleveland that I played a couple of times.
Little Met.
Yeah, Little Met. Yeah. One of those two. That's always really fun for me and the guys to get out for an hour and a half and go play, 9-hole par 3 course. So that's always fun. But I love the golf up there. I'm not going to say I'm the best golfer ever. I'm really not. I just do it to have fun, and it's just something that we can go get away from the field and go have a good time doing.
Who was the best in Lake County?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
I'm going to start. I hope nobody sees this. We're going to start a war in the clubhouse. If I show up tomorrow and someone hears about this.
You just plead the fifth and say it's everything.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer.
We'll let that one slide through.
He's humble. He says it's not him, but you might be a ways away. I'm on west of Cleveland, about 20 minutes west of Cleveland. You're going to be ways away this year from where you're going to be out the season. But when you get back up to Cleveland in the area, my father-in-law works at a golf course around here. We might be able to hook you up at a good one. So
let me know. I'll drive however far. Do not care.
All right. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to hook you up. You get some guys up out here. I'm sure he can get you a good deal. He's like the mayor of this city. So he can
perfect.
Hook you up.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Real quickly, too, I also, if you don't mind, you say you're big into golf, you're big into your faith. What are some things that are important to you off the field to keep you, because, you guys are not just baseball players. That's what you do. It's not who you are. What are some things that are important to you, and what you like to do, and what keeps you grounded and recharged away from baseball?
Yeah, no doubt. The thing that keeps me grounded, like we talked about, I'm big in my faith. I believe that the Lord put me here for a reason. One, to glorify Him in everything I do, and serve Him in everything I do. And if that's baseball, then that's baseball. If it's not, I'm still going to serve Him. He's still my Lord and Savior. So that's the thing that keeps me grounded through the ups and downs of the season. But, in the off season when I'm home, I really like to spend time with my family and friends. Everyone from my hometown, super small town right outside of Tampa. It's called Plant City. Not a lot of people know about it. It's home for me. I love it. I'll probably never leave when my playing career is done. All my friends are there. All my family's there. So just spending time with everyone that's there. I go to my local barbecue place and I'll see 10 people in there I know. And I just love that. I love that small town atmosphere. And, if I'm able to get out on the water and do some fishing, that's me and my dad's thing. That's my grandpa's thing. That's my family and friends thing. That's what we all love to do. And you check out my Instagram, you're bound to see some pictures of some big fish on there. And, if I'm not golfing or fishing, I'm just, chilling, spending time with family.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to hear and see a lot more of Parker this year. Already, last year was good. I think this year is going to be a lot better for you. And I don't know. I feel like Guardians fans, there's a lot of pitching in the system, but I feel like Guardians fans are here and see more of you sooner than later.
I hope so. I'm excited and ready to see what this year holds.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Park. Oh, you got one more thing, Jeff?
No, I was going to do that. Thank you. We're just
thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know you guys, your time off in Arizona is precious, especially with everything else going on down there and getting ready for the season. So we appreciate you being on here, and hopefully we can catch up soon, maybe before that Major League debut sometime soon.
No doubt about it. Thank you guys for having me. Go Guards.
Yeah, go Guards. All right, check out the next episodes. We'll be talking outfield. We'll do some fan mail stuff next week. Season preview. We're 8 days away from the opening day, so I'll talk about that. If you are part of the Locked On Guardians Fantasy Draft League, we have that on Sunday, so check your Yahoo calendars for that. We'll be drafting on Sunday while we're recording, so all that to look forward to.
And again, I will remind you all to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Thank you to every one of our everydayers. And as always, go Guardians, go.